Welcome to the Evolution Magazine live series. It is February 4th, year 2021, and tonight is another episode of Veterans on Cannabis. Our host, retired Lieutenant Colonel Todd Scattini and retired Sergeant Chris Wolfenbarger, will be joined by a special guest, Cherissa Jackson, retired United States Air Force and the Chief Medical Executive for AMVETS. Our show will get underway in just a few moments, but first, a word from our sponsors. The Missouri Cannabis Industry Association has been our longest-running show sponsor, while providing quality education over many topics in partnership with area cannabis professionals. MCIA is dedicated to a free cannabis market to create supplies and prices that are patient-friendly, with initiatives to support adult-use cannabis, to protect home growers' rights, and expand the caregiving program. Go to mocia.org to learn about memberships, to learn about their certified caregiving program, and learn how to get involved. Thank you, MCIA, for being a show sponsor. Cannabis Care Team. Our mission is to provide qualifying patients with the education, support, and advocacy they need to experience the medical benefits of cannabis and consume it safely. We work tirelessly to have a positive impact on the lives of others and achieve our mission by providing education to both patients and the industry. Visit CannabisCareTeam.com or give us a call today. Cannabis Care Team, education before medication. Relief Resources Dispensary, located in Grandview, Missouri.
Welcome to your relief.
Now open 7 days a week, providing patients with quality medicine as well as accessories for patients and home cultivators, with a qualified staff to guide you on your cannabis journey. Visit reliefmo.com for product menu and patient resource information.
Hi, this is Doc Mack. We're here at Relief Resources Dispensary. We have a full selection of very fine flower, edibles, infused beverages, AGG infuser machines for you home cultivators, cookbooks, and a whole variety of support materials. So look us up at reliefmo.com. Check us out, like us, share with your friends. We'll get you taken care of.
Tonight's video is provided by Cat King Films. Check this out. Cat King Films is offering promotional content, commercials, training videos, wedding videos, and documentary-style video production at an affordable price. A free consultation comes with every project to ensure that it is personalized to your brand. Check out previous projects by exploring the different sections on the newly launched website at catkingfilms.com.
Hello and welcome to the Evolution Live series. We are broadcasting live here from Happy Rock Farms on Main Street in Kansas City, Missouri, one of our favorite hydroponics stores. So show them some love, come on out here and support them. If you have any home gardening needs, they will take care of you. We have an amazing show for you guys tonight. It's our veteran-led show with Todd Scattini and Chris Wolfenbarger. We have some amazing guests that are coming in via Zoom call. Cherissa Jackson, she's the Chief Medical Director for AMVETS, and then John Stewart, he is on the local level here at the 181, also with AMVETS. And I'll let Todd give us a little more introduction on both of them here shortly. Real quick, before I pitch it over to them, though, I want to say thanks to our sponsors, MCIA, Missouri's first cannabis trade organization. They have a great patient caregiver program. They're doing amazing things with connecting patients with patient caregivers. So thank you for your support. If you're a patient looking for a patient caregiver or vice versa, check them out online. They will help you navigate through that whole process. Also, Relief Resources, the dispensary in Grandview, Doc Mack. He's a great guy. He's one of the guys out there involved with that dispensary. Big thanks to them. They have some great products out there. They also have donated some prize giveaways for tonight's show and all of the shows this month in February. So if you want to get entered in to win a free gift card to Relief Dispensary, just tag a friend, bring them in on this conversation, and you both get entered to win that competition. And tag as many friends as you would like, and you get entered in each time. We'll do a drawing here in a few days for those free gift cards to Relief Dispensary. Also, our last sponsor, the Canna Care team, doing really amazing things with training staff of dispensaries here. Also, if you have a loved one who's apprehensive about trying cannabis for whatever reason, they will help them, guide them through that. They're all registered nurses. They can help you figure out, what's the best what's the best way for you to try cannabis, to start that regimen, to supplement maybe for some of your other pharmaceutical medications. They can guide you through that whole process. So check them out online. And then also thanks to our production crew here, Cat King Films behind the camera, and then James with Level Up AV behind the computer, pulling this all off for us tonight. And with that, let's pass it on over to the guys here, Todd Scattini and Chris Wolfenbarger.
Thank you. Welcome. My name is Todd Scattini.
I'm Chris Wolfenbarger.
And we are Veterans on Cannabis. So welcome to the show, everyone from across the country. I am really excited to be hosting this show with Chris. On this show, we really try to provide education for veterans, news for veterans, all associated with the cannabis space and as it's evolving through our country, what it means for veterans, right? I mean, we're a population that's in the midst of a healthcare crisis that is marked by suicide and opioid addiction and other levels of abuse, and we believe firmly that the re-legalization of cannabis could really change the health and wellness aspect of veterans. And if the Department of Defense were to embrace cannabis, that we could really be leading a revolution in medical affairs. And we're going to go through tonight a couple of things. First and foremost, we're going to talk about veteran service organizations, right, or VSOs. And some of you may not know what those are, but if you can imagine, your VFWs and your American Legions and your AMVETS and other organizations, what they do, what their role and function is, a little bit about their history. Tonight, we have two incredible guests with us. We have the Chief Medical Executive for AMVETS, one of our nation's oldest veteran service organizations, which a lot of people don't know was founded right here in Kansas City.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Just like a few other veteran service organizations, but Kansas City was really kind of this focal point of a lot of veterans' issues after World War I and after World War II. And so it seemed, groups began to originate here. We're going to talk a little bit about the news tonight. We're also going to talk about, before we bring Cherissa and John on, we're going to talk a little bit about Missouri and our position in the United States and our role as the 33rd mover in medical cannabis, right? I mean, it took a long time to get it to the point where it is, but I think that Missouri has an exceptional program and provides an exceptional platform for research and development that should be very attractive to the DoD, the VA, and anyone who cares about health and wellness of human beings. So let's get right to it. If you could go ahead, let's go ahead and start off with a little bit of news. And we're going to talk about a little bit of local news. I think that's kind of interesting. It's not Missouri news, but it's our neighbor next door, Kansas.
Yes.
Right? So if you could bring up our first slide there. Turns out the governor of Kansas on Monday has unveiled a plan to legalize medical marijuana and use the resulting tax revenue to fund Medicaid expansion, right? So this is a really unique and original approach that I laud Governor Kelly for. This comes as lawmakers in the state. They've already introduced 2 separate cannabis proposals in recent days, and it seems like there's a lot of momentum in the Sunflower State. Governor Kelly, who's a Democrat, held a press conference to announce her legislation, arguing that Kansans are ready for marijuana reform. Duh. We all know that, right?
Without a doubt.
Everyone is. Which she said would provide patients with a critical alternative treatment option and would give the state the resources to expand health care and even more money left over. And I think that's great.
I also applaud Governor Kelly with this stance, because very rarely in the political realm do you have an opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and make everyone happy. Mm-hmm. So we're going to release all the funds that are currently being used in law enforcement to enforce the prohibition of cannabis. We're going to release those to the law enforcement agencies to actually go after real criminals, instead of people that are accessing a plant. And we're going to tax that medicine and use the resulting tax revenues to help fund health care benefits for all Kansans. This is a win-win-win for everyone involved, especially the patients in dire need in Kansas.
Yeah, and I really applaud her for, it's kind of a bold approach to say, why don't we help build Medicare with this, and improve the federal healthcare system with funds from cannabis legalization. And I'm hoping that, with the new administration in Washington, that they're starting to think creatively about how to build this bridge between the old style of healthcare and healthcare that includes natural medicines like cannabis.
It's also going to be very difficult on a federal level if they're receiving funding from cannabis taxation to continue to prohibit cannabis.
Right, exactly. And so we have to get Washington to be not so concerned about funding coming from the legal cannabis space, right? And that's happened. We're seeing that happen in a lot of senior care centers where cannabis could be incredibly effective with dealing just with getting old. And things like that, because you go into many of these centers and they are, over-drugged, just kind of slobbering on themselves, whereas those who get to use cannabis into their elder years have a much more productive life and
a higher life quality,
level of comfort. Right, but within those facilities, because they get Medicare and Medicaid funding, they're very, very cautious about saying anything positive or welcoming cannabis into their facilities. So I think it's great news for the Sunflower State. Yep. The one thing I do caution all states on is, you don't legalize medical cannabis so you can fill your coffers with funding or reduce that funding gap. You do it out of compassion and out of a recognition that cannabis is a safe, effective, and affordable medicine and a way to address healthcare issues. And if you make some money off of that too, that's great.
Absolutely.
But that shouldn't be the point. You want to make money off of cannabis, let's talk about adult use and things like that. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And that's a great segue into what veteran service organizations are and how they function and why they exist at all. As a veteran, there are voice in D.C. They are our lobbying agencies. They are the people that have the ear of policymakers in Washington. And Cherissa Jackson, our guest tonight, on a macro level, on a national level, she's the national medical executive for AMVETS.
Yep.
So when AMVETS knocks on the door and says, hey, we'd like to talk to you about a medical issue for veterans, it's her hand that's knocking.
Yeah.
And we're blessed to have somebody of that caliber on the show tonight, along with Post 181 Commander John Stewart. Mm-hmm. Not that John Stewart, but he's still handsome nonetheless, and a great guy. Just can I tell a story about how I joined AMVETS?
Well, let's get the AMVETS in one second. I got
Okay,
one more.
you
I
get-
got
you-
one more news story. I want to
Okay.
start out local.
I get so excited.
And then we're going to go federal here, okay? Because
Yes,
we
sir.
all know that something happened in Washington D.C. in January of 2021, right? So
Right.
a new administration took over in Washington D.C. We've all been wondering what's going to happen. The Democrats now do have majority in the House, and so Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer from New York, and Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey, Senator Ron Wyden from Oregon, they all issued a joint statement announcing plans to federally decriminalize marijuana on Monday of this week. And all of these senators, they've all previously introduced marijuana reform bills, said that they hope to draft legislation aimed at ending federal prohibition very soon, right? So although President Biden has indicated that he would support decriminalization of marijuana, it's not quite clear if he would sign legislation for cannabis legalization, right? But I believe with his vice president in the office, I think that the conversation around cannabis legalization on the federal level is very fluid, and it is a very real potential for us, right? So I know us as, me in my day job, I do work for a cannabis company or own a cannabis company, and so we're thinking about that. How do we position for the future of legalization, right? The statement that they put out said the war on drugs has been a war on people. I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
Particularly people of color. Ending the federal marijuana prohibition is necessary to right the wrongs of this failed war and end decades of harm inflicted on communities of color across the country. We are committed to working together to put forward and advance comprehensive cannabis reform legislation that will not only turn this page on a sad chapter in American history, but also undo the devastating consequences of these discriminatory policies, right? And that depends on how we implement legalization, right? The piece that they're missing there is that there are numerous societal impacts of the re-legalization of cannabis that we talk about on the show regularly. Those are those social justice issues that they're talking about
Right.
here. There are economic impacts, on a regional basis. There are sustainability impacts that are taking place with the advance of the industry, and of course, there are health and wellness impacts, to include the reduction of opioid usage, opioid overdoses, a number of different things. People are just leading much better and more blessed lives, I think.
Absolutely,
at this point,
and emerging markets.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't-
Absolutely.
don't-
I mean,
don't
we're
forget
in the
emerging markets.
what we're observing is we're building an industry from the underground up, right? And that is creating jobs across the country. And frankly around the world, because we're not talking about just what's happening locally anymore. This is a global event that's taking place with the re-legalization of this plant. As we know, in 2020, the United Nations removed cannabis from their list of dangerous drugs. So things are moving in a really good direction, and I think the future is wide open. And if we take the opportunity in this moment to kind of grasp it and move forward with cannabis re-legalization with the intention of addressing multiple issues simultaneously, we'll do way better than if we just start legalizing state by state.
I couldn't agree with you more. I kind of see the re-legalization of cannabis on a national level as clay right now. Mm-hmm. And not you, Clay. And it's up to us as leaders to mold what we want this new world to look like, mm-hmm. what we want these policies to be, and how we want them to be implemented. That's why it's so important that we have Ms. Jackson on tonight, because she's not the one knocking on doors in Washington, D.C. At the wheel, throwing a pot right now, building it with her own hands and other voices like hers, and to take veterans to the front of the line and say, hey, we fought for our country. Mm-hmm. You broke us, you bought us, you fixed us. We want access to the best medicine available that has the least negative impact to our lives, and that will transition to everyone in America, because you can't just give it to us and not anybody else.
Well, we're a cross-section of America, right?
Every demographic, every theater of conflict.
Yeah. So I think it's an incredible opportunity.
Absolutely.
All right. So into the news. Now, one of the things we also like to do every week is I like to provide a book recommendation. When I started learning about cannabis, I dug into everything I could get my hands on, every book I could read, every documentary I could watch. Anyone who wanted to talk to me about cannabis, I was ready to listen and ready to have the conversation. This is a book called Marijuana is Safer. So why are we driving people to drink? I think this is an exceptional book put together by 3 incredible activists, Steve Fox, Paul Armentano, and Mason Tvert. You've probably seen them on numerous talk shows as talking heads. You know, they're always going head to head on CNN with somebody when people are trying to denigrate this incredible plant that has been such a huge blessing for us. And instead, they're putting it in their face, saying, why would we not legalize cannabis and instead support alcohol when alcohol is responsible for 100,000 deaths in America alone every year, not including car crashes. So it's a very dangerous thing. And if people have a safer option like cannabis, the world, I think, would be a better place. So Google that and find marijuana is safer. So why are we driving people to drink? Okay. So let's talk about veteran service organizations now, because I want to get our guests on. I want to give them an opportunity to really run and tell us about some of the incredible programs. Chris, you want to talk to us about a VSO? I'm the newest VSO member. I'm the newest AMVETS member, I bet, because I got my membership tonight, finally.
Finally.
Yes.
Well, I got mine a decade ago when I was on the board of directors with the Foundation for Exceptional Warriors, and we really made it a concerted effort to reach veterans through local VSOs, so that we could help identify veterans that were in crisis and get them on events and really change their lives. And I really wasn't sure that those organizations were for me. I was 20 years their junior, maybe 40 years their junior in John's case. And I'll never forget the day a Vietnam veteran looked at me and he said, it's important for you to join AMVETS tonight. I said, that's kind of a tough sell, sir. And he said, well, I'm dying of cancer. And all the Vietnam vets are dying of something right now. And if your generation doesn't step up and join the fight in veteran service organizations, no one's going to be fighting for veterans' rights in about 15 years. And that was so powerful that I can say it verbatim a decade later.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. No, and I think for me, it's like that place where we find our tribe again.
Absolutely.
Once you come back, right? Sebastian Junger's book we've talked about a couple of times. I mean, coming back and finding that camaraderie and that common thread of service that you share.
And one of the things that veteran service organizations have struggled with is translating the old model of veteran service organizations to the newer veterans that are coming out of Afghanistan or coming out of Iraq. And one of the things that sets AMVETS apart is their forward-leaning posture on just about everything, but specifically cannabis. And I believe that as AMVETS pushes the boundaries in Washington on cannabis, they're going to garner the attention of the younger veteran generation, the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings that have served.
That post-9/11
That post-9/11 veteran, yeah, exactly. And really set the tone for what VSOs are going to do and be and fight for in the future for veterans' rights.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always said that, the VSO that embraces cannabis, especially if the VSO will embrace cannabis and include social consumption in their lodges. Now that is hands down, that will be the VSO of the future for sure.
Absolutely. It's the biggest complaint I hear from young veterans is I don't want to sit around with a bunch of old dudes smoking cigarettes in a smoky lounge, drinking drinks and telling the same damn war stories they've been telling me. I just have no desire to do that. And to turn those into legal cannabis shared consumption spaces for medical patients in Missouri or anywhere, paradigm shift. It would be a paradigm shift in the ability to get veterans together because veterans heal together.
Yeah, for sure.
And all patients of any stripe heal together. That's why there's support groups. And you can't find a disease, you can't find a community that doesn't have a support group. And VSOs and veteran service organizations, local chapters are the support groups for veterans.
Right, absolutely. Well, so I am super excited to introduce our next guest. Cherissa Jackson.
I'm giddy right now.
All right. I mean, she is an absolute rock star, so I'm a little starstruck here. But Cherissa has served for 23 years. She served for 23 years on active duty. 10 of those years were as a U.S. Air Force nurse. She's a veteran both of Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. She's served a total of 3 combat deployments where her skills were honed and her expertise was built as a battlefield clinician, right? And then she served later stateside in Walter Reed and saw everything firsthand from when we come back from downrange. So
she never came back.
Lived it, absolutely.
Never came back with what
Following her honorable service, Jackson became an ambassador and an advocate for persons with post-traumatic stress disorder, inducted into the Sheroes United Organization Hall of Fame, and traveled to Rome in November of 2016 in order to collaborate with the Vatican, the nation of Congo, and the city of Amatrice, Italy. What an ambassador. Man, more experience than me. She wants to help. She has helped advance global discussions on eliminating stigmas associated with PTSD. She also has a nonprofit and saves the lives of women from cervical cancer. It's called Project Give Hope. I hope to hear a bit about that. She's traveled internationally to Uganda for the last 3 years. She's also the author of At Peace, Not in Pieces. It's a best-selling memoir that outlines her principles of coping with her own PTSD challenges as a combat veteran and a nurse. She was named one of the 25 individuals of influence in the June 2018 issue of PTSD magazine.
Unbelievable.
Right? She won the daily record Top 100 Women for 2016 for her efforts with PTSD. And recently she was awarded the first Passion Award at the AVB 2019. This is the American Veterans Ball. Right. She's 2020's recipient of the VETIS, a Veteran Award for Excellence in Mental Health. And she won the Star Nurses Nightingale Award out of 600 nominees in September of 2020. Congratulations, Cherissa. This award was a collaboration between the Washington Post and the American Nurses Association. All right. She became the chief medical executive at the beginning of 2019. And she leads the organization's HEAL program, which she's going to share with us the details on that. She focuses significantly on suicide prevention training and is just an absolutely incredible and talented person. She is the mother of 2 twin daughters and holds a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing from the Medical University of South Carolina. Welcome, Cherissa Jackson, to Veterans on Cannabis. It's so great to have you.
I am so excited.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay?
Lima Charlie.
Yes,
you were
ma'am.
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you for the intro. I'm so thrilled to be here today. You guys have no idea. I've been giddy all day thinking of how this conversation is going to go, and to just really enlighten and bring awareness to this wonderful plant where we're seeing such great benefits. So I'm honored to be here. I'm ready to jump right into it. So let's go.
Let's do it. So Cherissa, how about, can you tell us a little bit, just give us some of your background. Give us your military background, some of the places you saw and the things and how it affected you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I came into the military at 17. My parents had to sign for me. I knew this was what I wanted to do. My parents only gave us 3 options, and 6 of us. They said you either go into the military, you work, or you go to college. And so I saw what my parents did to put my 3 siblings to college, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna have them do it for me. So I chose the Air Force as a means to come in, just be that patriot. And then I discovered that nursing was the path that I wanted to take. And I used the Air Force to actually get my nursing degree. And unbeknownst to most people, what I did was I actually worked for the military at night as a logistics officer, finding parts for the C-17s and the 141s and F-16s. And I decided that I needed to do something bigger and better, and I decided to become a nurse. And so I worked for the military at night and went to nursing school in the day. You talk about somebody doing it the difficult way. It was me that chose the most difficult route to do. But, that taught me that I could do anything. I was totally unstoppable, and I had the military to support me and was behind me 100%. I got my nursing degree, and like most of us know, once you get that skill, the military will deploy you. And so shortly afterwards, in 2005 and 2006, I went to Iraq. I was stationed at Balad Air Base, and I saw some injuries that no man should ever see. And as a result of those two deployments, I came back with post-traumatic stress. I did not disclose to anyone that I had PTSD. And needless to say, because of my skill set as an ICU nurse, ER nurse, you name it, I did all of the gory stuff in a level 1 trauma center. So because of my skill set, the military decided to send me again. And they sent me to Afghanistan in 2012. And needless to say, after 4 deployments, I decided it was time for me to retire. And I did that in 2013 and continue to advocate for veterans with post-traumatic stress. And that led me to AMVETS. I had no idea that AMVETS was looking for a chief medical executive. I had not heard of the HEAL program before then. And to be quite honest with you, I was not even interested in a VSO by no means, because I was still working as a nurse. So when I got into this space, it's been my passion, it's been my heart ever since. And I continue to just shift that conversation of what PTSD looks like. And now I'm on that journey to bring awareness now to cannabis for the organization.
Very cool. What a beautiful story. So it seems like AMVETS for you is this vehicle that you can really project through and kind of show what the benefits of cannabis might be. And I understand it's an integrated portion of the HEAL program. Can you talk to us a little bit about the HEAL program and AMVETS?
Absolutely. So the HEAL program stands for Healthcare Evaluation Advocacy and Legislation. And basically, we are a holistic program where veterans can come to us if they have healthcare issues, i.e. they can't get an appointment. And we all know that story of getting appointments to the VA. So we help advocate and get patients appointments. Evaluation, if they're noticing that their doctor is not giving them the care that they need, or a particular VA doesn't have the resources that they need, they can come to our HEAL program and we advocate for that. And then advocacy and legislation. I mean, that's what we're all about as we go to Congress and go before the VA requesting, different things that's going to benefit veterans. So the program is for every veteran. It's a national program. And as you said, we won the VETI in the mental health category. We were also spoken about when President Trump came to our national convention 2 years ago, because at that point, we had saved 600 lives from suicide at that point. And that was just outstanding for the president to speak about what we had done. And as a result, we won the VETI award for that. But the HEAL program, we get every and anything. Someone looking for financial support, someone looking for access to resources in the VA, to actually suicide. And that's an unfortunate part of our position at the HEAL program is we are suicide interventionists. I am one of the few assist trainers for the organization. So when those calls come through to the organization with someone wanting to take their lives, they have me and other advocates on the ground doing the work to assist when it's necessary. So our program, again, is a holistic approach. It's national. We get calls from all across the country. We are busybodies. We are a very small little program, but man, do we have a big bite, which is why I'm so happy to be here today to talk to you guys about what we're going to push out for the organization for cannabis.
Very cool. Very cool. Can you walk us through some of the specifics on the HEAL program? Like what's your strategy? And, now, as we mentioned earlier, there's a new environment in Washington and in the United States. There's just a new feeling across the country. What are your thoughts? How optimistic are you for change? And what is AMVETS' approach to making that change happen?
I'm very optimistic. I was privy to be a part of the Biden-Harris administration transition conversations. And I was on multiple conversations with their transition team about the VSO's positions and our priorities. And so I'm very optimistic that they're going to hear us as a VSO and hear what we're bringing to the table as it relates to veterans and saving the lives of veterans. So right now I'm very optimistic, and we're just going to see what happens. The great thing about being a VSO is, we come knocking, and sometimes we knock really, really hard, and finally somebody will open the door and listen to us. And that's what we're going to do. And so they know our priorities. We'll continue to push our priorities. And of course, those priorities are, number one, veteran suicide. We know that that's not going anywhere. We know that right now someone's probably taking their life. And that 22 a day just isn't, a good number to have. And we need to make change in order to decrease that number. So one of our priorities is definitely veteran suicide. Another priority is women veterans. We have a female national commander, and that it took us 75 years to do that. And so a priority is women veterans and women veteran issues. And one of the things that the HEAL program has done is make sure we have programs out here for women veterans when it comes to employment, when it comes to feeling empowered through our Rose event, through our Women's Veterans Journey Map. And we just make sure we support women veterans when they come to us in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And then, of course, our position on cannabis. Our position on cannabis right now is that we support any type of research when it comes to PTSD and cannabis. And that's our stand. And we're looking to see that happen with the new administration.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So healthcare person to healthcare person, you got any questions or patients?
As a combat medic, it was my job to get them to you, get them to the next level of care. And I was always terrified that they weren't going to make it to you. And then little did I know from the battlefield, once I got them to you and the other people of your ilk, that could get them home, how frequently my phone was going to ring from that same soldier I saved on the battlefield, who was at even more risk at home with a bottle and a pistol in a bathroom while his wife's on the phone screaming out to me, please, can I slide the phone under the door and talk to him? And we all have a cannabis moment where we realize maybe cannabis is the direction that we need to take veterans away from the pharmaceuticals that our VA, who they work so very hard to give good service to our veterans, but they have their hands tied. My cannabis moment was directly related to AMVETS 181. We lost a very active member to suicide on an overdose named Ben, and he really changed the entire direction of my life, losing that AMVETS member. And nobody saw it coming because he was the guy I would refer suicidal people to. What was your cannabis moment? What was your cannabis moment?
You know what? Yeah, I think my cannabis moment was just, reflecting on some of the veterans that I saw who are now, just hung up on these opioids. I did a series last year for AMVETS called Who's at the Table? And I actually interviewed not only women veterans, but men veterans. And they talked about their challenges. They talked about their stories. And I'll never forget that one male veteran that I interviewed, he said that cannabis was his way of getting off opioids. He said that while on the opioids, that he was suicidal and that he had made some attempts to take his life. And it was truly cannabis that got him off of the opioids. And he's been sober as well as drug-free, besides the cannabis since then. And just to hear him talk about his triumph from struggling with addiction to seeing how empowering he is and how motivated he is to live a better life. I had to take notice that cannabis is something that other veterans should have or know that it's an option. And for me as a clinician, it's important that we educate patients, we educate veterans of their options. We are our own advocates. And at the end of the day, nurses and doctors, we are those angels that come in and save lives, and we give you treatment, but you are your own advocate. And if you feel that a particular medication, if you feel that cannabis is an option for you, then you should be able to speak up willingly and say what you want to do to take care of yourself. And so as a clinician and as an educator, that's something I would always tell my patients. I would provide them the plan of care. I would tell them why we're doing what we're doing. It is up to them to decide if they're going to move forward. And that is the same concept for cannabis. Veterans should have access. And if it's an option to them, they should be able to speak freely about it. And what we're seeing is that a lot of veterans are coming off of opioids because of cannabis. A lot of lives are being saved because of cannabis. And again, it's safe and it's effective. So our goal is to continue to explore cannabis from this perspective and let veterans and the community have a different perspective, have a different narrative around cannabis. So that stigma of what it was and what people still think it is can go away, and we can really see how this medication is helping and saving lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think we have to highlight that. I think your program is exceptional. I mean, the HEAL program and the way you're approaching this from the policy perspective, I think is really incredible. I like the concept of metrics. So are you planning on doing a survey of your members? Very cool.
Yeah, so we're actually rolling out a huge initiative when it comes to cannabis this year. We're leading this pretty on a pretty big note. And one of the things that we're doing is we want our AMVETS hosts to be knowledgeable and have the education and the awareness of cannabis and the benefits of cannabis. And so we're going to survey our members to actually see, who is and who isn't, who knows about it, who doesn't, so that we know how to approach it from an education standpoint. And so that we as an organization can all be saying the same message. And that messaging is the same no matter where we go. So it's important to find the tempo and know the pulse of the organization. And we'll do that with the survey and use that information to take to the VA and say, look, we have X amount of our members that are using cannabis, see the benefits in cannabis. And, this is significant. So we need to make a move on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping that education will be mobile. I would certainly love it if one of the first educational events could happen here in Kansas City. I'd love to see, AMVETS come to this is the place where it happened, right? This is your origin story for AMVETS, to come back here and to, meet with us at Post 181, take a little trip over to the National World War I Museum and Memorial, which is incredible, and it has an incredible a medical display of what it looked like 100 years ago to go to war, right? And if you compare and contrast that with what it looks like medically to go to war today, it's like we've I don't know, it's like we're on a spaceship or something, and we have made so many advances because of that military necessity. Right. If we are allowed to apply a research lens onto cannabis as the DoD with the purpose of saving veteran lives and saving active duty lives and family lives, we'll be unstoppable. I can't even imagine what medicine will look like a century from now if we do that. Absolutely. And I believe that we will. I think we can.
Can I provide a little, or ask Ms. Jackson to provide a little scope? When we're talking about a nationwide survey of AMVETS members, there are a lot of people out here that are hearing VSO for the first time. They're hearing AMVETS for the first time. The show has a lot of pro-cannabis Missouri followers and national followers that might not be veterans, but they understand that veterans could be the linchpin to changing macro level change. How many members nationally does AMVETS have?
Oh my God, thousands, because it's dependent on the posts. So we have posts across the country. So that's why we're a national organization. So there's posts, and within the posts are post members. And then you have people who are members and not part of a post. So, we are thousands deep, and we're one of the big 6 organizations congressionally chartered. So when events or when decisions or need to be made by veterans, we're one of the ones that's called to the table from Congress to tell them what they should be doing to help veterans. So we're one of the big six, and I'm sure, like you guys mentioned earlier, there are others like the DAVs, the VFWs, there's 5 others, and so we're one of the largest and then one of the most inclusive of all of the veteran service organizations. And I had to put emphasis on inclusive is because some organizations, are for disabled veterans, some are for wounded warriors, some are for paralyzed veterans. Whereas we, as an organization, we take all of them. We're inclusive. Right. And as long as you have an honorable discharge, we're able to have you on as a member. And most VSOs are not as inclusive as we are. So we're one of the most inclusive congressionally chartered veteran service organizations.
Now, viewers, she's being a little bit humble here when she says thousands. I did a little bit of research. AMVETS has tipped 250,000 members nationwide. Mm-hmm. So let's really put it in perspective. You got 250,000 veterans all banging on the table saying, "Excuse me, Mr. President, we'd like some policy change at the VA with cannabis." AMVETS is going to be
the one doing it.
Is the one doing it, and I cannot tell you how much as a veteran I appreciate it. I just went through what's kind of called the donut hole because I have prescriptions from the VA that are controlled substances. I have to drop a urinalysis to prove that I'm taking my medicines as prescribed and not sell them on the street. But at the same time, I'm not allowed to test positive for cannabis. So I have to not use the medicine that's helping me the most, use the medicines that put me at risk for a period of time of 30 days, I think is what it took to make sure I was where I needed to be. And those are the types of things that spin people off into alcohol, into opioid overuse, and things like that. Thank you so much for fighting that fight for us, because I never want to go through that again.
Yeah. And you shouldn't have to, and no veteran should have to either. And the great thing about having a VSO in support of veterans and out here advocating and fighting for veterans is, we're here to have a mighty war and make some change happen, because we do have that constituency that's that big. And so for you to have that issue, no veteran should have to go through that. At the end of the day, we want to save lives. And if this plant is an option to save lives, then it should be an option for veterans to do it. And that's what we're here to do as a veterans organization, is to tell the VA, this is an option. Let's explore this option. And for veteran suicide, we know the executive order came out, and the executive order is looking for new options to save the lives of veterans. So this is a new option. It's something where the community as a whole can come together and we can, really decrease the suicide rate with veterans.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We got to come at them with options and ideas, right? I mean, like we all learned when we were in uniform, right? You don't go to your boss with the problem. You go to your boss with a solution or a recommendation that is actionable. And I wanted to share with you, Cherissa, a little bit about the way I see, a potential plan for the VA, right? And it includes Missouri. And so, James, if you could bring up the slide again, and Cherissa, I believe you'll be able to observe on your screen.
The objectives?
The objectives right here. So, I think that there is a potential to have, a research zone here in the state of Missouri that the VA could dip their toe into. That they could look at this as a potential. And if you could bring that up, James.
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah, so, I think with Missouri, we could lead the way to a new frontier in medicine, or if the VA were to really embrace this, we could really shine the research lens on this plant. We could provide a world-class platform here in the state of Missouri to facilitate research and development, and we can research things focused on pain management, symptoms of post-traumatic stress, and things of that nature very, very easily here. And of course, my eyes are really bad, but foster better health and wellness.
Traumatic brain injury, chronic traumatic something that I can't pronounce.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Encephalopathy.
Our guest next month will be able to say that.
Absolutely. And we firmly believe that Missouri is the perfect fertile ground for it, because the laws that were passed in Missouri by our citizens are very inclusive of all of the major qualifying conditions that veterans suffer from. And the one thing that you can count on for sure is that everybody's going to grow old. And everybody is gonna suffer from the ailments and illnesses that plague our society across every demographic just because of age. And we'll have access to all of those veterans in addition to the veterans that have combat-specific or service-specific injuries that are qualifying conditions in Missouri.
And so I made up a little bit of maps. I made up a few maps here. If you could go to the next slide, James. Let's see here. First, this is kind of an idea of where we are in the United States. Right now we have 34 adult use states, to include Washington, D.C. We have 16, I think that's backwards. Sorry about that. We have 34 medical states and 16 adult use states. I wonder who made this. Anyway, so we're quite a long ways along, right? Over 2/3 of our country has access to cannabis at any one time right now. And it's just going to continue to grow. Obviously, in 2020, we went 5 for 5 with 5 states legalizing cannabis, some form of cannabis, 4 for adult use, and 1 for medical in Mississippi. All right, next slide. And this is a little bit about Missouri. Of course, you know what Missouri looks like, but we are right in the center of the country, probably the most unlikely place that people would expect to have an exceptional medical cannabis program. We have 60 cultivators, 86 manufacturers, 10 testing facilities, and 192 dispensaries across the state. They're not all functional yet. We're still in our nascent stage. They're still being licensed, but it still is the framework for the best medical cannabis program in the country. Our cannabis program has a long list of medical conditions, like Chris was saying, to include giving that the power back to the doctor and improving that doctor-patient relationship, meaning that if a doctor says that he or she believes that medical cannabis might be right for you, they can give you a recommendation and you could give it a shot and you can try it, right? We also have a wide range of products, everything from topicals, tinctures, pre-rolls, flour, any product you can imagine is available here in Missouri. All right, and we also have a significant military presence, to include a leadership presence. We have the Command and General Staff College of the U.S. Army, which is a premier leadership institution right across the river in Fort Leavenworth. We've got Fort Leonard Wood right in the center of the state.
Whiteman Air Force Base.
Yeah, we have I think 8 major installations in and around Missouri.
And don't forget, our medical cannabis tax rate is one of the lowest in the nation.
Right.
And it goes to our Veterans Commission.
Yeah, that's what's really unique, right? So we have a 4% tax that's the lowest in the country, which goes a long way to wipe out the black market. We also have a home grow as well, so veterans could grow their own if need be, and have that rewarding experience of growing their own cannabis. Now this is a really ugly slide here, but
yes, it is.
This is what it looks like when you throw 86 manufacturers and 60 cultivators and 192 dispensaries and 10 testing laboratories on a map of Missouri. But what it should show you is that access will be very, very easy, right? Especially even in the rural communities, which the VA, we know, has a difficult time reaching rural communities with high quality medicine. Okay, and we end up doing most of that through the mail. So can I have the next slide, please?
But before you go to the next slide, let me touch on the rural communities. One of our sponsors tonight, Relief, is implementing a delivery program nationwide, or not nationwide, statewide for free.
Oh, fantastic.
Doug Gallant let me know that that's something that he's got in the works, where if we've got a rural patient that can't get to a dispensary, his dispensary is going to get to them. And they're working out the kinks on that program right now, so there won't be a veteran or any medical patient that needs the plant that won't have access to it through our sponsor, Tonight Relief. So,
Oh, very cool.
yeah, absolutely groundbreaking and
Yeah. So access key, I think, in being able to get this and having it be affordable. And eventually the VA should be seeking to pay for this because, it costs me maybe $100 a month for my supply of medicine, whereas, and that has reduced the need for 10 other medications.
absolutely.
So it's much more cost effective. I put this slide together just to kind of let you know a concept. One of the things that we have here is a significant academic backbone, which is a requirement for any high-level research and development. As you can see through the center of Missouri along the I-70, we have three major institutions: Missouri University, University of Missouri Kansas City, University of Missouri St. Louis, and each one of those are geographically and academically aligned on a research relationship with the VA hospitals that are there. We also have Rolla Science and Technology that could really help advance the industry in terms of everything from extraction processes and more. And on the other side of the state, in Kansas, we already have research taking place with hemp at Kansas State University that we're
That's
actually
exactly right.
conducting. And you've got University of Kansas Medical School, which is a world-renowned medical school. So we've got it all here. We've got a state of 6,500,000 Missourians have served their country in uniform. And so it's...
Can I break that down for normal people?
Please, sure.
That means almost 1 in 10 Missourians have served our country honorably, and we're blessed to have that saturation of veteran participation from our citizens.
Yeah.
When you talk about the heartland, we're the heart of the heartland.
This is it. So I just wanted to share that with you, Cherissa, just to kind of, and I'll send this over to you, but I wanted to show you that I really believe that there is potential here to have the conversation about using Missouri as an R&D platform and set the example and show the VA that we can do it and do it well and really track those results.
Yep.
Any comments on that
Absolutely.
before we go to a break?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for preparing that and showing that to me. And I welcome that idea. I welcome how we can come in as a veteran service organization to help push that, plan that, and execute that. And I think that's what's needed. I know currently that there is a cannabis research going on in San Diego VA. And so I'm already having conversations with our DC VA about having a research project handled here at the DCVA. So the doors are opening, and you guys having as much as you guys have as far as growers, the product, the veterans, I think everything is there. And I definitely welcome that opportunity, and we can certainly talk about it offline to see how we can execute. And now that we have the ear of the VA, as far as research and our interest in the research and our resolution that's about research, I think that we can certainly move that needle and make it happen.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you stay with us. After the break, we're going to come back, and John Stewart, the commander of AMVETS Post 181, is going to be joining us, and I hope you'll stay with us.
Hey, thanks to everybody
Absolutely.
for... Sorry, Cherissa. We're on a slight delay here, so thanks so much, Cherissa, for everything. It's incredible to listen to you off here on the side. Thanks so much for joining the show tonight. Thanks, you guys, for watching as well. We ran a little long. We're going to give a little commercial break to our sponsors. And check in with the Can of Convict Project. If you're local, you know about the Can of Convict, but for Cherissa and John, you may not know about them either, but the Can of Convict Project is all about trying to get our nonviolent cannabis offenders out of jail. So we're going to hear a little update from them. We're going to hear a few commercial breaks. Hopefully Cherissa and John can stick around, and we'll be right back with Todd and Chris. So stay tuned.
Hey guys, what's up? Chris and Christina with the Can of Convict Project. Hope you're enjoying the show. We got a little update for you this week.
So we want to first start by saying thank you to the Evolution Magazine for giving us this opportunity to stay engaged with you guys every week. We really appreciate it, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I want to start off tonight with a little teaser, something that we've been working on for the past couple of months and been trying to keep it under wraps. We're still not ready to give you guys all of the details, but we are working on something that's going to address the probation and parole conversation for patients and having access to their medication while they're serving time under probation and parole. So watch out for that. We've got an announcement hopefully coming out soon, but anyways, little bit of a teaser. We've been talking with our guys quite a bit lately. They've been extra communicative. I'm assuming that they're in better spirits by their additional communications with us. They've been on an emotional roller coaster throughout all of this, as have most of all of us during this time of COVID, and they seem to be in pretty good spirits. Zach is finally at Leavenworth, where he's going to hopefully be until he gets released, which could potentially be within a year if nothing we can figure out to get him out any earlier than that. He would be eligible to go to a halfway house in about a year and a half. Same with his co-conspirator, Nick Glayholt. Nick has been moved to Beaumont down in Texas, which is hopefully his final resting place until he gets out as well. He's been moved around quite a bit. He recently had his email privileges reinstated, so that's really great to get to talk to him again. He got transferred and his privileges taken away because he got a disciplinary action. So hopefully we can just move forward from here and no more hiccups like that. Anthony, unfortunately, who's up in Milan, Michigan, he recently had his CARES Act motion denied. The prosecutor sent back a rebuttal that pretty much made him sound like a serial killer. And so that was super disappointing. And we're back to the drawing board to see if there's anything we can help him with get out any earlier. Not Anthony, but Trevor and Robert, they're here on the state level, and they have their pending clemencies. I know I talk about this every week, but we still need you to send in tons and tons of reminders to the governor to support his clemency. And, you know, we've got the information on our Facebook page. It'll be on our website that's getting ready to get launched, and, you know, copy and paste. I support Trevor's pending clemency. I support Robert's pending clemency. Anthony on the federal level, you know, we share those links so it's easy for you guys to engage and assist them with those. And if you're wanting to write to them, just to let them know that you are out here thinking about them and that you haven't forgotten about them, that the community hasn't forgotten about them, please feel free to write them. We've got their contact information on our Facebook page. It will be on our website as well. For the federal guys, blue and black ink, that's it. No color, no cards, nothing like that. That's all they can receive is blue and black ink. And for the state guys, they can receive cards that are just on plain card stock. It can have color, but it can't have glitter or glue or stickers or tape or anything like that. So that'd be great if you guys want to let them know that you're thinking about them. They'd really appreciate it.
They love your letters. It means everything to them. So send one over if you can. Just make sure you follow the rules so they can actually get your letter. We've had a number of different things go on within the past couple weeks. We had huge news for Michael Thompson, who just got out of prison. He served 24 years of a life sentence, and the community raised over $280,000 for him. He was able to put a down payment on a house, and so hopefully all that goes well. But you know what an amazing thing for the community to pull together and do that.
He was up in Minnesota or Michigan, right?
Michigan, I believe.
Yeah, he wasn't one of ours necessarily, but he was a cannabis POW, and we support him, and that was really wonderful what the community did for him.
We want to say thanks to Illicit and From the Earth for having us out here this last week or so, and they had Seth Wigington. Obviously, you guys know Seth. He was the ribbon cutter. It was a really special experience. We got to see him make his very first legal Missouri purchase. So, thank you, Illicit Gardens, and thank you, From the Earth.
And we're doing a super secret thing with Illicit Gardens too, so I can't wait to announce that to you guys. We've been working on it for a couple of months, and yeah, so hopefully we're going to have lots of big news for you guys really soon. So finally, we want to kind of finish out by saying go to the Bud Room this Saturday up in Liberty from 11 to 4. They're doing a low income and veterans certification drive. and they had 50 veteran certificate donations or certification donations given to them by the Veterans Patient Access Foundation. So that's wonderful. Everyone, always try and stay as legal as possible. If you're not certified yet, go get certified. Hit up this event. We'll be there. Come say hi. The Canna matriarchs are going to be there, and Joni Harshman's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of great individuals there. So come say hi and get legal.
Yep, get legal so we don't have to defend you in the future.
All right, well, that's all we have for you today. Enjoy the rest of the show, and everyone, remember to tune in Sunday. Go Chiefs! Have a good
The Missouri Cannabis Industry Association has been our longest-running show sponsor, while providing quality education over many topics in partnership with area cannabis professionals. MCIA is dedicated to a free cannabis market to create supplies and prices that are patient-friendly, with initiatives to support adult-use cannabis, to protect home growers' rights, and expand the caregiving program. Go to mocia.org to learn about memberships, to learn about their certified caregiving program, and learn how to get involved. Thank you, MCIA, for being a show sponsor.
Relief Resources is located at 13836 South 71 Highway in Grandview, Kansas City's premier medical marijuana dispensary, offering such brands as Stash Logic's locking transport smell-proof boxes to Grav Labs glass pieces. Come see us for your biggest selection in Kansas City, offering all flavors of Keef Colas, different strains of flower to help you medicate, and of course, the fresh essence of the freshest flower in Kansas City.
Come see us!
Be sure to tune in next week, Thursday, February 11th, for a special Evolution Live series Valentine's Day show with nurses Alice and April. Learn why sexual health is important for overall wellness and how to use cannabis for connecting, intimacy, and sex. February 11th, live at 7 p.m.
And I cannot wait for that Valentine's Day special. That is next Thursday, next week, with April Hatch and then Alice Mangan, who happens to be on set tonight. Alice is here joining the vet conversation that we're having. They have an amazing Valentine's Day lined up for us, a show lined up for us for next Thursday, talking about women's health, intimacy, all things that you would think cannabis needs to be a part of. They're going to lay it out on the line. They're both registered nurses, so it's going to be a great show next week. But let's get back to tonight's topic, the vet show. Let's pass it over back to, we have Cherissa Jackson is still here with us. We appreciate her sticking around. And then also John Stewart. Thank you so much for being patient with us. He's here, a part of the local chapter. Let's pitch it back over to Todd Scattini and Chris Wolfenbarger here.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much, Cherissa, for staying around. Now we're excited to bring on the AMVETS Post 181 Commander, John Stewart. John, welcome to Veterans on Cannabis.
Thank you.
Hey, John, can we get you to scoot a little closer to your mic so that we can hear you a little bit better? Oh, we're good? All right, excellent. I've been blessed to be a part of AMVETS 181 for an extended period of time. First, tell us a little bit about your background prior to becoming the post commander for AMVETS 181.
It's actually not as impressive as Ms. Jackson's, but my career started out in '66, joining the Air Force, and wound up at Whiteman for about 3 years. And then from there, I went to Vietnam via Thailand. Went through bomb school and had 9 months of training all together with explosives. Then I got out in 70, 71. and was out for about 5 years, and I joined back up with the Richard Gabar's Air Cargo Reserve Unit. And from that point, I wound up overseas again, several times, again, Southeast Asia areas. And in 91, I actually wound up in Desert Storm 1. Only got as far as Germany. They went into ceasefire, which I was happy about that. But
Yes, sir.
my thing there was air cargo. We were shipping the deceased veterans back from that war by air cargo, which it plays on your mind occasionally. Now, I didn't have it as bad as PTSD as most of them have, but my part would be that when I got done and joined the police department in 71, I was a field officer for 15 years, and we saw a lot of drug use and problems involving hard drugs. And that was my primary introduction to it.
Now,
In 85,
go ahead, John. Sorry.
go ahead.
No, in
In 85, I went into the vice unit and spent about 17 months there. And then we started getting into the federal drug courses by Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, which involved Jamaican international drug shipments, and stayed with that for about 2 years. Then we went over to what we called financial manipulation investigations. It involved following our high-level drug dealers here in Kansas City, Missouri, which we wouldn't take on a case unless it was over $1 million. And there were a few of them here that grossed over $5 million in illicit drugs. Sorry about my voice. This COVID's getting me jacked up.
Yeah, sorry, I know you did get there recently.
Yeah,
Well,
but go ahead.
as somebody who's fought the war on drugs from the front lines at home, and somebody who's served our country so honorably abroad, I can't imagine a more difficult job in the military than shipping U.S. soldiers and service members home in caskets.
Right.
I don't even know what to say to that, to be honest with you. I wasn't prepared for you to tell me that was one of the things that you did. I know other people that did.
Well, you get callous to it. And because what was striking to me was the process and putting those caskets on the C5s or 130s or whatever it was. Lower rank personnel went to the bottom, officers went to the top. And you always had to make sure that was true when you shipped. But it's, like I say, something you get used to. And the same with once I got on the police department, you get used to certain things.
Yes, sir.
And you block out what you don't want to really remember about it.
Yes, sir.
But in, trying to think, in 87, we went into the high intensity drug trafficking task force, which was a federal task force in 5 states, 5 incremented states. And our primary goal there was chasing down meth labs, which we spent about a good 3 years on that. And then instead of just chasing meth labs, it escalated into any kind of clandestine illegal lab operation drug.
Wow. So, sir, you've kind of seen the drug war up close. Is that true?
Pardon?
You've seen the drug war up close, and I mean, it's interesting to see that now with cannabis legalization starting to unfold, the drug war is kind of unfolding with it. And I think
Right.
I think it's going to have an overall benefit. I think the drug war in general has had a negative benefit on security in the country and around the world, but so things are getting better now. Now let's talk. I would like to talk a little bit about being the post 181 commander and what we see happening here in Missouri.
And your personal and post policies regarding cannabis.
Well, as for myself and the post, what the person does in private, because it's basically it's still restricted in some sense about using cannabis. Those that acquire the medical use for medical cannabis don't use it at the post. They use it at home, someplace where it's not that obvious. Because there are strict guidelines at a post that you just can't do that in a public set.
Yeah, but
Right.
sir, you guys
Cast
serve,
his
we serve
favor.
beer at the post, right? Yeah. So I mean, we know we serve beer at the post, and I mean it is a really social thing. And at some point, I think the addition of cannabis to that social environment is going to be a huge benefit to the veteran community. Do you see is there an intention to maybe push forward to the potential of social consumption? Because I've long said, the Veteran Service Organization that embraces social consumption of cannabis will be far more attractive to the post 9/11 veteran and will be the Veteran Service Organization of the future.
Right. It's hard to describe going from illegal drugs to say now it's legal for me. But the use of medical prescribed cannabis will cut out a lot of these hardcore drug users, especially veterans that they're not really getting what they need as far as you can't dump a lot of hydrocodone and oxycodone on people without it having a long-term effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a milder drug.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, and far more beneficial. Sir,
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you think maybe we can let's bring Cherissa back into the conversation, or we can talk a little bit more about that.
I'd love to have that discussion with the four of us. Boy, the screen just got a lot better looking, John. Glad you're back, Cherissa.
Oh, thanks.
For our listeners and our viewers at home that don't know, John is a warrior in every sense of the word, and right now he is currently fighting COVID and agreed to be a part of this broadcast because he felt it was so important to get the message out and to do that through COVID. Well, that's just a warrior's mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
You put your battle armor on, and you slap a magazine in, and you get to work.
It's an important subject. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cherissa, as you heard John talk about some of his experience, and that's got to make you, I know you are already very cognizant of the fact that those 250,000 veterans out there also lived civilian lives and have civilian families. What types of things are AMVETS doing? I know the types of things that Post 181 are trying to do to help veterans have healthier families. Because if we can get the family healthy, we can help the veteran as well as anybody else.
True. Oh,
we've got you on.
I'll just ask to unmute her.
There you go.
Yes, I think it's awesome. First and foremost, I want to commend Mr. Stewart for being here tonight. As a clinician and hearing that you have COVID or battling COVID, my prayers go out to you. Continue to hydrate, which is what I see you doing. You're talking, so I know you're moving air, and this is the clinical mind of mine that's going around as you are in front of me. So I commend you and I applaud you for being here tonight. But please, please, please stay healthy. Back to your question, for us, from a holistic standpoint, that's what the HEAL program is all about. We just don't serve just a veteran. We just don't serve the woman veteran or the male veteran. We also extend our services out to the family. Again, when you're looking at the injuries that these soldiers are coming back from, PTSD and things of that nature, those people that's taking care of them are their family. They're the wives, they're the girlfriends, they're the moms, they're the sisters. It's the extended family that's taking care of them. So we as an organization has to take care of them as well. So we have many departments within AMVETS that does that. We have our wonderful career center, we have our membership, we have claims and benefits. And then of course you have the different posts, and we have auxiliary. So we have a lot of resources that we offer, not just to the veteran, but to the veteran family as well.
And of the post, the coronavirus epidemic has caused a lot of problems. It's keeping the post reasonably together. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the members, I don't blame them. A lot of times I'll tell the members don't come because it's that dangerous. Don't waste time and don't hurt yourself or family, which is kind of oddball considering you're supposed to run an organization. Yeah. But I prefer they be safe.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the ground truth is brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, I showed you kind of a little bit of the idea about Missouri. Cherissa, do you think you can make it out here sometime? We would love to host you in Kansas City when the time is right, you know, when traveling is a little bit easier, but we would love to host you out here and kind of introduce you, and we could certainly meet with the VA here. We want to continue this conversation. I think it's an incredibly important one, and this is the best effort that I have seen being made to actually really trying to change policy specifically about veterans, specifically about cannabis in such a cogent manner. And you know, and me as your newest member, I'm like Private Scattini again. So anything you need from us,
absolutely,
we will set the conditions here in town for you or anywhere else. So we'd love to be a part of this on a larger scale for a longer period of time.
Absolutely. You know, when it's safe, my hope is, you know, as we push out our cannabis initiatives, we will be going across the country and speaking at different posts to craft this narrative that we want from the organization. So coming to Missouri, absolutely. I certainly would love to, as we push out all of the things that we're trying to do, particularly if we can get that research project there at your Missouri VA. And I commend you guys as well for having this type of platform. It's awesome to know that people are aware that we are out here and that we do have a voice. Is it a taboo conversation? Yes, but someone has to have this conversation. And guess what? The conversation needs to be had now because there's no movement as far as us decreasing the suicide rate. And there's no movement with decreasing the opioid addiction. So if we don't do this now, I don't know when the window of opportunity will come. So I'm proud to lead. I'm proud to be that person to manifest whatever we want to manifest in these objectives that we want. And I'm ready to put my foot on the gas and let's go full throttle because that's the only way we're going to save lives.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
And I'm so glad you said it's just not a taboo. It's not a taboo subject anymore, right? I mean, a question about medical cannabis should no longer be met by a pot pun and a giggle. It should be met with real critical thinking and imagination and creativity, so that we can really address some of the most complex health issues of our time, while simultaneously addressing many complex social issues at the same time. So I think it's a win-win if we embrace this. John, I wanted to say thank you, sir. Do you have any final comments? And also I wanted you guys to tell us, how can others join AMVETS? Because like I said, I'm your newest member. I'm your biggest fan now. How can people join AMVETS?
They can contact any AMVET post and they can make arrangements to fill out the paperwork and have them join that post or whatever post they want. Because I'm not going to restrict it just my post.
Of course not, yeah.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to John's efforts as the commander of a post that doesn't meet. Can't be any more difficult. I have learned more about my VA benefits, about how the VA is handling vaccinations for COVID, and the whole COVID process from John's emails to our members at Post 181 than I've learned directly from the VA. And if that's not a telling statement about the importance of VSOs and your local post connectivity, I don't know what is. Because I'm on the list now to get my vaccination because of an email John sent to me on behalf of AMVETS to say, here's how you do it, here's who you contact, and here's the steps to take. Because I'm not the brightest guy. If you don't lead me by the nose, I'm not going to get to the pond and get a drink of water. So thank you, John, for helping me.
Pretty big nose to pull.
Yeah, thank you for taking care of veterans, both of you, and for all that you do. So I think it's amvets.org that folks would look at. And we're looking forward to, I do have a question for you, John, before we go. Is there a Kansas City, Kansas AMVETS?
I'm not familiar with one. There may be. I have to look.
We need to find one.
Because I never looked it up.
Bridge there. All right. So anyway, hey, thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Cherissa.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. John. Feel better.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, she's looking around the corner for me.
We're good. Cool. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching this whole show tonight. What an amazing conversation we're having here. Thanks so much to Cherissa Jackson for joining us there, and then for our local AMVET 181, John Stewart. Both have amazing stories. Both have sacrificed their lives to make sure that we all have freedom here, and now they're sacrificing lots of things in their lives to make sure that we continue to move forward to have access for our veterans to cannabis. And so thank you so much for joining that conversation. Thanks to Todd, Scattini, and Chris Wolfenbarger here for hosting the whole thing, and for James behind the computer there, Level Up AV, Cat King Films behind the camera, Chris Dalton's in the crowd, Happy Rock Farms letting us do this whole thing here from their hydroponics store. And then Alice CBD, she's back there. She was a part of this whole thing. They have a great show coming up next Thursday with April Hatch, Valentine's Day special. Tune in for that. We're going to be talking all things intimacy. We may have to have a disclaimer at the very beginning of the show just to make sure that anyone underage is not watching, because we're talking, sensitive material, but also human material and how it relates with all that. I'll be blushing, I'm sure, the whole time. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.